I'm a member of the South Church Social Justice Associates in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and we are very happy to welcome Henry Clementowicz of the ACLU staff. He's an ACLU staff attorney. So Henry, I have a few questions and they're really centered around security issues. And the first one is if I'm have an absentee ballot, what happens after it's mailed? And particularly, how do I know that it's going to be counted?
Thanks, Mary. That's a great question. So the Secretary of State's office has a portal on the website that allows you to track the status of your absentee ballot and see whether it's been delivered to the town hall or not. And that is, there may be some delays with information getting uploaded onto their server, but you can actually track to make sure that your ballot has arrived back at town hall, which is a nice feature because there's a little tracking number on it. Absentee ballots are counted the same as any other ballot. They're fed through the machine, and the legal bases for not counting an absentee ballot are pretty small. As long as you're a registered voter and you remember to sign the affidavit envelope when you're mailing back your ballot should be counted.
Well, in terms of the signature, how might I know if my signature is being challenged?
Yeah, so in 2018, the ACLU of New Hampshire won a pretty big court decision in federal court in a case called Cecedo versus Gardner, where a federal judge threw out the statute that allowed election officials to compare signatures on the affidavit envelope and the absentee ballot request form and reject the ballots if the signatures didn't count. And a federal judge ruling in our favor found basically that because the statute didn't really provide notice or an opportunity to fix that, the mismatching signature to voters, it was illegal. And so signatures are not being compared against each other.
One other question about signatures. What if I forget to sign the absentee ballot? Is there something that I can do?
Yeah, so as a quick reminder, when you fill out an absentee ballot, you don't actually sign the ballot, but you put it inside an inner envelope that has an affidavit on it, which you do have to sign and fill out in order for your ballot to be counted. And then you put that envelope in an outer envelope that stands in the address to your town hall in it. So there's two envelopes, and it's the inner one that you sign. If you forget to sign your mail-in ballot, by law, your ballot, the affidavit envelope, by law, your ballot isn't supposed to be counted. I'm not aware of any particular statutory methods for you to be able to fix that. One option is the so-called beat your ballot option, where if you vote by absentee ballot, the Secretary of State's office has said it is lawful to try to go in person and try to vote before they actually process your absentee ballot. And so if you're going to try to do that, you really need to get there at the very beginning of the day. It's a pretty rare circumstance that people actually want to do it, but it is a possibility.
Okay, so what you're suggesting to me indicates that if I get an absentee ballot, I can change my mind and go to the polls on election day?
There is a legal way to do that, but it really requires you to get to the polls at the very beginning of the day, probably in the first hour. It's not a voting plan that we recommend, obviously, of vote one way and then decide, change your mind and decide to go in person. It's not a good thing to be able to count on, but it should be possible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Henry.
No problem. Thank you.